Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Journey to Faith with me, Doug Hammer. Pleasure to be with you, honored to be with you. If you're visiting for the first time, welcome. If you've liked what you've seen or interested in enough what you've seen to come back, I appreciate it. If you're seeing me wearing the same clothes, that's because in the same day that I filmed the first one, the initial one, I wanted to keep going. But like I said before, I want to keep these videos at about 20 minutes, give or take a minute. I do not want to make this into a boring 2 to 3 hour discussion where you start to lose what I'm saying, you start to lose interest. But in our busy days, if you would give me the honor of spending a few minutes in your busy day, I appreciate it. And I thank you very much. What we discussed on the first episode is we talked about my time leading up to a 40-day fast. And that's what we're talking about. That's the emphasis of that. We're going to go deep into the 40 days of fasting that I went into. Now, there's going to be times that I'll zero in on something. I may spend a lot of time with it. And there may be a little time that we speed up in the fast. There was, and I learned this the hard way, no set time that methodically everything happened. It just, I would go through something very traumatic maybe, and there would be lessons that I'd learned from it, but I would move on. And one of the things I found real quick, that as I was going through this fast, that when God was teaching me something, when God was leading me into a particular area that he wanted me to focus on, there was always a time that I felt God was giving me maybe a day just to pull back and to take in everything that I went through. It's another thing I think that God has an amazing ability to do, is to see how you are struggling and to know better than anybody, better than yourself, how to handle that, okay, we're going deep, but let's pull back a little bit. He gets that. He knows that. He understands that better than anybody. He knows you and he knows me better than we know ourselves. But anyways, getting back to it, I was discussing my time when I had fasted for 3 days. It was the second time in my life, age 50. And I was talking about some of the lessons I've learned and maybe a little bit of the tough times. So I want to just touch base with that just for a moment and then move on. I really didn't, the food struggle was the hardest part. But as I look back and I try to understand, what I learned from it was that 3-day fast is extraordinary. I mean, you have different fasts, you have different types. You know, I'm sure many of you heard about the Daniel fast. It's based on Daniel, the book of Daniel, the gentleman that it's about, when he fasted for 10 days and only ate the vegetables, the healthy things that God wanted to eat, and what were the great benefits of it. Spiritually, obviously, Daniel went deep, even deeper into his relationship with God, and we know the legendary faith that he had, and he continued to keep taking it deeper. But the fast was on vegetables, water, and I think even for today, even if you're fasting or you're trying to learn how to lose weight, from a physical standpoint, I think that it doesn't get any better than this. Okay, it doesn't get any better than this. Daniel ate the healthy foods. He stayed away from the delicacies of the king's table. And we've seen how that transpired. And the world was better for it because of him. No doubt about it. You know, if somebody asked me what are the, of all the men in the Bible who I would look up to, obviously Jesus Christ would be number one. No doubt about it. the only perfect man to ever walk the earth. But if you're asking me for a gentleman who would be next in line and way behind, but in line, I would say that Daniel was someone who had the most profound effect on me. Um, the he was a quiet man. He was a man of great depth in his understandings, and in so many ways he's opposite from me. I like to run my mouth. Um, Sometimes it gets a little bit ahead of what I intellectually consider the appropriate things, but that's me. Okay, through the good times and the bad times, that's me. But Daniel was an amazing man, and for anybody, he would be a great mentor to take a look at. I would highly recommend that any of you gentlemen out there who has a young son, I could not recommend more than to making sure that your son understands just how great this man is. So many lessons to learn. But anyways, let's get back to it. All right. At age 50, I did my second, for my entire life, did my second fast. All right. So let's move forward. Okay. And 2017. Okay. Our church, the church that I'm attending at the time, moved back up to Erie, Pennsylvania, which was my hometown and the suburbs, born and raised in that area. But I always loved it, always just the memories, everything about it. I wanted to be a part of this, and I wanted to go back. So I found a way to move back up. My mother passed away, and then unfortunately my stepfather 4 months later. So when I went up for my mom's funeral, I just decided I was going to stay. I was laid off from my job. I just felt it was the right time, what God wanted me to do. So I get involved in this church, First Alliance Church in the Erie area. It's actually in a suburb called Mill Creek. Phenomenal church, just amazing church, a very large church. I'd say probably, they could, they have 2 services on Sunday. So I guess it would be fair to say that on average, they would have a congregation with the 2 combined, the numbers of about 700 to 1100. Like any church, it fluctuates a little bit from time to time. But anyways, I go to this church. It's phenomenal. I mean, I'm volunteering for things not because I have to, but because I love it. It was a great excuse to be a part of a great church, get to know the people more and more. I just really fell in love with it. But anyways, Pastor Mark was starting to emphasize the importance of a fast. Okay, and like every good pastor, like I said earlier, you've got to talk at least once a year about this. So he's putting it through my mind. He's putting it in my heart, I believe, because God wants him to, about fasting. Well, I decide I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. But I hadn't yet realized when I wanted to do it. Well, God, I think kind of made that decision for me. And what happened was on December 22nd, okay, 2017, I decide that I'm going to fast. But something extraordinarily happened to me that really pushed me over the edge if there was any hesitation about why I should do it. If I start getting a little quiet here, or I start hesitating a bit, please know that I'm just reflecting on it. I'm going past my notes, and there's memories that even when I mention it, it's coming in. It's coming in. It's flooding in. But anyways, good, I wouldn't say a friend, but just a real quality guy, a man of high character. He's a local police officer. Was telling me about a job opportunity that had come up as not as a police officer, but someone who worked in dispatch. And he was telling me that you have to take the test, and uh, then you would get to go to school for it. But it was a great job, good money, not great money, but it's one of those jobs that every day when you go into work, every single thing you do, you're helping people. Okay, you're being a part of saving lives, and I just thought it was great, and not to mention it was a guy that I trust beyond question. That he was saying that, this is the road you want to go. It doesn't get any better than this. Now, I'm in my 50s, so obviously my days of going through the police academy are have passed, which is fine, but still be a big part of what's going on. So, anyways, sign up for the test, and I go and I take it. Now, it's about 4-hour test, 4 to 5 hour test, broken up into sections. Now, you have to pass all of the tests. I mean, you can't just pass 3 and then 4, and well, you want a majority. You got to pass them all. So I went in, I took the test. It was really a tough test. It was quite impressive. It was stress the whole time through, no doubt about it. Did great on 3 parts, but unfortunately, I flunked one of the sections. Not by very much, but that doesn't matter. You either pass or you fail. That's it. It's black and white. You go for it by that. Well, I flunked it. Well, the lady who came in to evaluate my test was great. She said, look, you can come back. You can take the test again. You can take it as many times as you want. So I was just mad. I mean, I get into my car. I had a baseball cap on. I put that cap on. I did not want to see anybody. I did not want to look at anybody. And literally, God help the man or woman that when I drive on that highway home, who cuts me off or does something to get me even more mad. God help them. I was at that point, I didn't care. I didn't care if I'm going to go to prison. I didn't care what I did to anybody. I was so mad at God because I'm thinking, you just gave me this opportunity. And then something which I felt was beyond my control caused me to flunk the test. I mean, I'm like, am I missing something here? Is this, am I, am I some kind of comedic act for those sitting in heaven? That's what I'm thinking. These are the things in my mind. In looking back, I realized I let Satan in to my mind. And the anger was greater, probably up to that time in my life. There was no greater anger that I had ever had than that moment. I felt like I was being tortured. I felt like, God, you show me an opportunity and then you take it away. What's going on? So I'm driving home, and all I'm thinking of is, when I go to church, I'm going to see that guy. It's going to be humiliating. It's going to be embarrassing. Satan was telling me every single thing in your life that really gets under your skin, it's about to happen. Right? It's about to happen. And it did. When I went to church, it did. So remember, this is right around December 22nd. So we get down to the point where I'm driving home, and I'm being very careful here. I want to make sure I get it right, and I want to tell you this. I've got, like I said, I've got notes, but even now as I'm thinking about all of this, new things are kind of coming into my head to try and understand better. But anyways, it's December 27th. It's about 9 o'clock. I'm driving to work. I have a part-time security job. And this was really when times were tough in the area. Finding a good job that you can stay with and make a career with are very, very hard and difficult things to come by in Erie County. It's just, Pennsylvania's tough. Erie area is maybe even, excuse me, is even tougher. And I just couldn't up to that point find a job. So I get a job working security, third shift at a zoo. Okay, I would say a medium-sized zoo, but that's all that was available. That's all I could do. Third shift. Now, if you want to talk about hitting the bottom, that's it. And it's an important job. Don't get me wrong. You've got to protect the animals. But I just thought, man, this isn't what I've signed up for. But it's a job. I got to pay the bills. I got to keep going. I got to move forward. So I'm driving to work, and it's a blizzard. And if anybody knows anything about Erie County in the northwest section of Pennsylvania, way up on the corner on the left, literally, we are halfway between Buffalo and Cleveland. And it is the worst weather right off of Lake Erie. And we get more snow. In fact, I do believe Erie still has the record nationally for most snow in a year. And this was one of the years that it was horrible. In fact, I think this was the year that set the national record. But anyways, I've got a small car, all right? Just a very, very small car. 2-door hatchback. The windows, it was the standard manual windows. That's how basic the car was. And it was horrible in bad weather. So I'm licking my wounds. I'm mad. Still hurting. I mean, really, really hurting inside. I really felt at that point that God let me down. I really did. He didn't. But man, that's how I felt. I felt like a loser. I felt like somebody that would be given the most simplest task in life, and I could not handle it. It was humiliating. It was embarrassing. It was in every way, shape, or form. I just felt, man, I'm in my 50s. What am I missing here? Well, it wasn't that bad. But when you're going through those tough times, you're going through that spiritual depression. You're going through those moments of, you feel like the more you're trying to draw closer to God, the farther you're moving away. But anyways, I'm driving down the highway. It's snow covered. You can still drive okay. And I was driving about 35 to 37 miles an hour. Okay, not fast, but at least, you can move and you're okay. As long as you learn this growing up in Erie, you learn, okay, the snow's going to have the last say. So you better respect it or you're going to lose. So I'm driving down the highway, and I see in the rearview mirror 3 trucks coming up. Now I know these trucks they pass me every day. They're for a particular company in Erie. I think they make deliveries down in Pittsburgh, and that's the time they come back up. So I knew there were 3 trucks coming. So I see the one barreling up, and he was probably going 55 miles an hour. He wasn't really speeding, but when you're going 35, 37 miles an hour, you're 55 miles an hour is pretty fast. But anyways, the first truck just flies right by me. Just flies. And after that truck passes, all of a sudden the turbulence just rocks my car. Now remember, there's snow on the road, snow on the highway, so just the little bit of lost traction is a disaster waiting to happen. Okay, so it flies by, and all of a sudden I'm starting to spin. I could tell front wheel drive, I'm losing control. And then something I don't know comes up, and that is the snow is just all flying all over. The truck is through the air that it's pushed through, it's snow all over. I can't see a thing. I cannot see a thing. And all of a sudden, my car, remember, it's a small car, okay? It starts losing control. And I'm desperately trying every way I can to get my car under control. I can't see, literally, I can't see the front of my car. The snow was so intense and so thick, right? So I'm going through this, and all of a sudden, for some reason, my car is spinning. I mean, literally spinning around. I don't know where. Just prior when that happened, I looked out the side window, and I knew that it was a drop off. There was a guardrail that was there, but it was a steep drop off. So you hit that guardrail hard enough, it's not going to stop. You're going over, and you're going to die. Okay, it's not going to be maybe you'll survive. In a small little compact car like mine, I don't have a prayer. So I'm spinning, literally, I'm spinning around. And then all of a sudden I come to a stop. I thought for sure I'm going over this hill. I didn't even know where I was sitting on the highway. Literally, snow clears. And by the grace of God, I am in my lane, sitting sideways, looking straight off to the side, but I'm in the lane. All I got to do, put her in gear and go. But then out of nowhere, I hear this truck honking. It's the second truck. The second truck is coming at me. And if you know anything about trucks, and he's in my lane, okay? He's in my lane. If you know anything about trucks, just because you change lanes doesn't mean you're going to get the whole truck and the trailer in that lane. He's coming straight at me. He's coming straight at me. And then he gets in the other lane, but he's honking like crazy. I can't move. Where am I going to go? I can't move. I mean, I'm mentally frozen. Okay. I don't know what to do. I look out my rearview mirror. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. He missed me by that much. About a foot. He missed me by that much. If he would have hit me, he would have dragged me. I would have been pulled right under the trailer. I'd have been dead. So, in a matter of 30 seconds, I almost died twice. All right? So I'm sitting there. Here comes the third truck. Same thing. Same thing. Now, he sees it coming. Maybe did that truck get on a phone, a CB, whatever, to the other one coming, but he gets in a little bit farther. But when I'm looking, and I'm looking straight at him, he's still trying to get to the other side of the lane. It almost hits me. 3 times, literally 3 times, and I would say in about a minute, I almost died. And it wasn't that you fall asleep, you die in your sleep. It would have been a horrific death. It would have been parts all over the highway. You know, we're talking a Ford Focus, small car, run into by a semi at 55 miles an hour, and would have had a prayer. I mean, you know, before I could even think, I mean, all this happened. Sitting in the highway, sitting sideways in the lane. So I drive my car off. For that brief moment in time, I survived by the grace of God. God was telling me. I didn't know it at the time. It's time to pray. It's time to fast. So, our time is up. We're going to get back into this on the next episode. I hope to see you. I truly hope to hear from you. If you have any questions, I'm at journeybyfaith @gmail.com. Please feel free to contact me, and I hope that you tune in again. We'll go from there. Take care.